What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Star Trek Prodigy. A huge Trekkie here. I love Star Trek. I love it. It's formative for me. You know, Star Trek helped turn me into a fan of movies and science fiction. Star Trek: The Next Generation was event programming in my house when I was a kid. The night that it came on, everything stopped for that hour. Me and my mom and my dad, we'd sit down and we'd watch it. It was part of my growing up. And I've loved Star Trek ever since. The movies, the TV shows, I've loved it. I ever since Star Trek has returned to TV with Star Trek Discovery, it's been a very frustrating journey. Star Trek Discovery Season 1, I thought was very meh. I felt that clearly they did not understand what Star Trek was with Star Trek Discovery Season 1. Star Trek Discovery Season 2, I hated it. I hated it. I was to the point where I was like praying for CBS to just stop making Star Trek stuff, because clearly their understanding of this property that they own is so minuscule that they are not going to be able to make a good Star Trek show. That was where I was at after Discovery Season 2. Now, to be clear, things have gotten a little bit better, but I still believe that, to this day, I still believe CBS has no understanding of Star Trek. They have no understanding of Star Trek. They keep trying to turn Star Trek into other things that it isn't. Star Trek Discovery Season 3 was better. It was my favorite season of Discovery. CBS still does not understand Star Trek, and that's apparent. But Discovery Season 3 was better. Just from an entertainment standpoint. If I look at it and I'm like, all right, let's take out all the Star Trek retcons. Let's take out what CBS is trying to turn Star Trek into. Discovery Season 3 was better. I found it very watchable. Now, I haven't started watching Season 4 yet. It is in my queue. It's on my list. I will be watching it. Picard Season 1. I liked it enough. I thought it was okay, but Picard definitely outlined to me just how little, it emphasized even more how little CBS understands Star Trek. You take this hero that we love, Picard, and you turn him into something that he was never going to be. It's almost like what people. It's the Luke Skywalker argument, right, from The Last Jedi. You took what he was and turned him into something that he should never have become. That's essentially what happened in Picard. You took what he was and turned him into something that he would never become. And in the process, you put him into this world that would have never existed in Star Trek. I mean, in Star Trek: The Next Generation, we were talking about a world where mankind achieved simply for achievement. We talked about a world where mankind was concerned with betterment. We were talking about a world that was almost a utopia, right? And then in Picard, we plunk him down into this world it represents modern America, right? It checks the diversity boxes. It has people who speak in language that doesn't feel at home in Star Trek. There was no. I'm sorry, F-bombs don't belong in Star Trek. All right? They just don't. They and I'm not some prude that hates hearing the F word in movies. I honestly could care less. It doesn't belong in Star Trek. That's not what Star Trek is. Star Trek is about people aspiring to be better, not aspiring to live like we live in 2021. I mean, that's not what Star Trek is. Substance abuse is not what Star Trek is. There's plenty of platforms to talk about substance abuse stories. But people in Star Trek we were supposed to be at a place where we were beyond that kind of thing, right? Now, other than the occasional dip into the Romulan ale, the occasional hangover that Worf would have, whatever the case may be, we were looking at bigger stories than stories that are relevant to 2021. And Star Trek has always been about the human condition. It's always been about who we are as people and where we want to go. And the topics that Star Trek was always tackling, yeah, race topics was huge in Star Trek, but they were big picture topics. And now we're living in a world that's grimy. It feels like, I mean, it's almost like they want it to feel like Star Wars. It's grimy. It's indicative of the world we live in today. They don't understand Star Trek. They don't understand the fact that people in the next generation, people have progressed to a point where the kind of storytelling they wanted to tell in Picard just felt out of place. It felt out of place. It felt like they were trying to turn Star Trek into something it wasn't. They were trying to turn it into Star Wars. But Star Trek has always been about the human condition and the people in Star Wars or Star Trek. No, I'm doing it. Star Trek has always been about the human condition, where we are and where we're going. And how can we get over the obstacles in our path, these obstacles that we've created. And part of it has always been about hope. Seeing a better version of mankind, seeing a version of mankind where we have, conquered some of the sins that we're currently living in today. Seeing a world where poverty has been conquered, seeing a world where addiction has been conquered. Like I said, other than the occasional dip into Romulan ale and the hangover that comes with it, addiction has been conquered. Seeing a world where these things have been conquered, and it's about the exploration and the science behind that exploration. And to bring Star Wars to Star Wars, oh my gosh, to bring Star Trek backwards, it just felt out of place. Now, Star Trek Prodigy. Now, to be fair, I think there's 5 episodes out now. I've only seen the first one that was like a 2-parter, and I have no interest in it. I have no interest in it because, again, CBS has proven that they have no understanding of this property that they have. Star Trek is about the human condition. It's about being human and exploring who we are and how we can become better. And it's hard to have those explorations when there's no humans in your show. There's no humans in Prodigy. How are you going to have an exploration of what it means to be human when there's no humans in it? But it's okay. We're going to throw a hologram of Captain Janeway in there because that'll make the Trek fans feel good about it. Come on. I just don't understand why CBS does not grasp what Star Trek is and what it should be and what it could be. They keep trying to turn it into something that it's not. And here we are, a stupid Star Trek animated show. Let's be the Clone Wars. Star Wars did it. We can do it too. Only let's make sure there's no humans in it. We're going to focus on the aliens, so that way we can really tell a good human story. Come on. Yeah, I won't be watching the rest of Prodigy unless I just get overwhelming response from people saying, "Hey man, you need to watch this." I won't be watching it because that's not Star Trek. That's CBS trying to they're putting something out there and then they're dressing it up in Star Trek clothes and they're saying, "See, this is Star Trek. They've got the emblem. They've got the starships. They've got Janeway. Janeway's in it. Janeway's in it, guys." You can dress up a turd and call it a bar of chocolate, but that's not what it is. You can take a turd, wrap it up in a Tootsie Roll wrapper, call it a Tootsie Roll. It's still not a Tootsie Roll. It's still not a Tootsie Roll. It's still a turd. And that's what they're doing. They got a turd on their hands and they dress it up in Star Trek clothes and they're calling it Star Trek, but that's not what it is. So, I don't know. Not a fan of Star Trek Prodigy. Like I said, I've only watched the first two parts, or the first episode, the two-parter, and everything about it rubbed me the wrong way. From the animation style to the characters, to the fact that there is no human characters in Star Trek. There's no human characters in this Star Trek show. As a Star Trek fan, that boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. Star Trek has been not only has it been about the human experience, what it means to be human, where we're going, but from an alien perspective, Spock, Data, it's always Worf even. It's been about these outsiders to humanity coming to humanity. And we learn about ourselves through the perspective of these outsiders. That's why Spock and Worf and Data, that's why these characters were so popular with fandom, because we learned about ourselves through these characters from the outside coming in and learning about humanity. Data's aspirations to be human, Spock coming to terms with his human side and embracing his humanity by the end. This was all stuff that now you can make the argument that at the end Spock didn't embrace his humanity. He really embraces his Vulcan side. But this is all stuff that just proves that they have no idea what they're talking about. So, Star Trek Prodigy, big thumbs down for me. But again, maybe I'm just on an island here. Let me know if you loved it. If you loved it, if I get enough people tell me they loved it, maybe I'll go back and watch some more of it. But for me, it just, no. Kind of like Lower Decks. Lower Decks, I only watched a couple episodes of. That is a true indicator that CBS has no idea what they're doing. Lower Decks. But I won't even get into that. We're talking about Prodigy right now. So what did you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review. Till next time, we'll see you later. Hey guys, it's LQ with the LQ Review. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me.